Have you ever found yourself in a room full of people talking over each other and thought, "I'd rather just sit quietly and take it all in"? Maybe you've reached a point in life where you're not interested in winning arguments, raising your voice, or filling up every silence with words. If that sounds familiar, I want to tell you, you're not alone and you're not wrong. In fact, silence might just be one of the most powerful tools you have right now. As we get older, something inside us starts to shift. We begin to value peace over noise, presence over performance, and meaning over small talk. And yet, in a world that never seems to stop talking, many people forget, or never even realize, that silence itself is a strength, a real strength. One that can guide you, protect your energy, deepen your relationships, and even improve your health. That's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to explore the quiet side of wisdom and why learning to embrace silence can make your life richer, calmer, and even more fulfilling than before. Whether you're 60, 70, or well into your 80s, the ability to sit with silence, to use it well, and to let it speak for you can be transformative. So let's begin with something simple. Have you ever noticed how people tend to stop and pay attention when someone suddenly goes quiet in a conversation? That pause, it pulls focus, it invites curiosity, it shifts the mood. Silence, when used with intention, can command a room faster than the loudest voice. It doesn't beg for attention, it earns it. It's a bit like walking into a room and saying nothing at all, yet everyone turns to look. They notice your presence because you're not scrambling to prove it. And that's the first quiet power of silence. It helps you stand out, not by doing more, but by doing less. You don't have to compete with the noise. You just have to hold your space calmly and let others lean in to meet you where you are. And once people do turn their attention toward you, something else beautiful happens. You get to become the listener, not just someone who hears words, but someone who really listens, with your eyes, your heart, your full attention. The truth is, most people don't get truly listened to anymore. Conversations these days often feel like competitions. Who can speak louder, faster, smarter? But when you stay quiet and present, you give someone the gift of being heard. And in return, you earn something incredibly valuable: insight. Insight into who they are, into what they really need, into what they're not saying, and often into things about yourself you may not have seen before. Because listening isn't just about others. It's also about allowing space for reflection, something that's hard to come by when you're filling every moment with words or distractions. You see, silence makes room for awareness. It slows things down enough for you to check in with yourself. How am I really doing today? Am I feeling calm or just pretending? What do I want from this moment, from this day? These are questions we often avoid, not because we don't care, but because the noise around us doesn't allow us to stop long enough to ask. But when you pause, when you create even just a few moments of silence in your day, you give yourself a chance to feel more grounded. You can hear the whispers of your own inner voice, the one that doesn't shout, but guides you gently if you let it. That kind of awareness can help you make better decisions, recognize when you're tired or overwhelmed, and even catch the early signs of stress before they grow into something bigger. Speaking of stress, let's talk about patience for a moment. You know, life doesn't always go our way. People say things that upset us. We get stuck in traffic. We lose things. We wait on hold with customer service for way too long. You name it. But have you ever noticed that the older you get, the less energy you have for blowing up over little things? That's not weakness. That's strength. That's patience. And silence helps build it. When you pause instead of react, when you take a breath instead of biting back, when you walk away from a heated moment instead of fueling it, you're not losing, you're growing. You're conserving your energy for what really matters. Because patience isn't about being passive. It's about being powerful enough to stay in control of your emotions, even when the world is trying to push your buttons. Silence also helps you regain focus. Have you ever walked into a room to do something, then forgotten why you were there? It happens to all of us, especially as we age. But part of that isn't just memory, it's distraction. There's too much noise, too much going on, too many thoughts swirling around. Quiet helps you clear that mental clutter. It's like wiping the fog off a mirror so you can see clearly again. One of the easiest ways to improve your focus is to find even 5 minutes of quiet time each morning. No TV, no phone, no one else talking. Just sit with yourself, maybe with a cup of coffee or tea, and allow your brain to reset. You might be amazed at how that small ritual helps you stay centered throughout the day. And here's something else you might not expect. Silence feeds creativity. You don't have to be a painter or a poet to be creative. Creativity shows up in how you solve problems, how you decorate your home, how you cook a new dish, or come up with a thoughtful birthday gift. But creativity needs space. It needs time to wander, to imagine, to build something from nothing. And that space is found in silence. Many of the world's greatest thinkers and inventors made their best discoveries in solitude. They didn't come from brainstorming out loud with a crowd. They came from quiet hours spent walking, thinking, reflecting. You don't need a laboratory or a library to do this. You just need a little quiet corner where you can let your mind explore freely. Sometimes, the best ideas come when you're not trying to think of anything at all. Maybe it's in the shower, maybe it's while gardening, or maybe it's in that peaceful moment right before you drift off to sleep. That's your creative brain talking. And it can only do that when the world around it finally quiets down. So now we've touched on attention, listening, awareness, patience, focus, and creativity, and how all of them are quietly amplified when we learn to embrace silence. But the journey doesn't stop here. There's more to discover about how silence can serve you in relationships, in decision-making, and even in moments of stress or conflict. Let's keep going. And the more you start noticing how silence works in your daily life, the more you'll realize it's not just about retreating. It's about making smarter, calmer, and even kinder choices. Let's talk about one of the most overlooked benefits of silence: the ability to choose your words carefully. You've probably been in a situation where someone said something so thoughtless or sharp that it left a mark. Maybe it happened to you. Or maybe, like most of us, you've had moments where you said something in the heat of the moment and wished you could take it back. Silence gives you the space to think before you speak. It's a kind of wisdom that doesn't rush. It waits, it considers, and it asks. Is this helpful? Is this kind? Is this necessary? At this stage in life, we know the value of words. We know how much damage they can cause or how much healing they can bring. When you pause before speaking, even for a few seconds, it allows you to respond rather than react. You're not holding back because you're scared. You're holding back because you're strong enough to let the moment breathe. And often when you do that, you find that the best response is no response at all, or at the very least, a gentler one. This kind of self-control isn't just about being polite, it's also about being wise. Because the less you say, the more weight your words carry. People start to listen more carefully when they know you don't speak just to fill the silence. They know when you say something, it comes from thought and intention. That's a quiet kind of authority, and it's far more powerful than shouting to be heard. Now think about how that silence affects your ability to observe. You've probably noticed that in a group setting, the person who talks the least often ends up seeing the most. It's not that they're shy, it's that they're watching, they're listening. They're picking up on the little things others miss. The way someone's voice tightens when they're upset. The way someone avoids eye contact when they're nervous. The way people repeat themselves when they're unsure. These small clues tell big stories. And silent people tend to become masters of reading the room. They don't guess, they know, not because they're magic, but because they pay attention. Silence sharpens your senses. It's like cleaning the smudges off a pair of glasses. You suddenly see everything more clearly. And when you can see clearly, you can move more wisely, whether it's in conversation, decision-making, or even protecting yourself from drama or manipulation. This kind of observation can help you far beyond your social life. It can help you build stronger relationships too. Because once you begin to really listen and observe, you start to become more intentional about who you allow into your life. You don't waste energy chasing shallow friendships or keeping up appearances. You realize it's not about how many people you know, it's about how deeply you know just a few, and how safely they know you. The older we get, the more we crave quality over quantity, especially in our relationships. Silence helps you filter out the noise. You learn to step back and ask yourself, does this relationship bring me peace, or does it drain me? And when you're quiet long enough, the answer tends to rise to the surface. Choosing silence gives you the clarity to build a social circle that truly supports you, not just fills your calendar. Now let's talk about trust. Have you ever had a friend or family member say, "I feel like I can really talk to you"? That's no accident. That's the gift of silence. People trust those who don't interrupt, don't overshare, and don't gossip. There's a kind of peace in knowing that what you say to someone stays with them. Silent people often become the confidants, the ones others come to when they need to unburden their hearts. And again, that's not because they're better than anyone else. It's because they don't rush to respond. They don't try to fix everything, they simply make space. That kind of presence, calm, quiet, respectful, is incredibly rare in a noisy world. And it builds something powerful. Trust. Trust opens doors. It brings people closer. It invites opportunities. And it reassures others that you're someone they can rely on, not for quick solutions, but for steady, grounded support. That's the kind of legacy silence helps you build. Silence also plays a big role in how you plan and prepare for the future. When you're constantly talking or reacting, you don't give yourself the space to think clearly. But when you step back, stay quiet, and let your mind process, things begin to line up. You start to see connections you missed before. You begin to understand what matters most. You make better choices. It's no surprise that some of the best plans come together in solitude. Whether it's planning a trip, handling finances, or deciding how you want to spend your next chapter of life, those plans need mental clarity. And clarity comes from quiet, not from panic, not from pressure, but from peace. You deserve that peace. You've earned it. Every wrinkle on your face, every ache in your back, every lesson learned the hard way, those are badges of a life lived. And now, in this season of your life, silence can be the space where all of those lessons come together and make sense. It's where you finally get to choose what matters and let go of what doesn't. And sometimes, silence is the kindest gift you can give to others. Think about how often we speak just to fill the void. Maybe someone's grieving, and we rush to say, "Everything happens for a reason." Or maybe someone's sharing something difficult, and we interrupt with our own story. We don't mean harm, we're just trying to help. But sometimes, the most helpful thing we can do is just be quiet. Just listen, just sit with them, and let them feel heard. That kind of politeness, that respect for another person's space, is rare, and it makes you unforgettable. People remember how you made them feel, not just what you said. And sometimes your silence says, "I'm here with you, and I'm not going anywhere." That matters more than advice. That's connection. And if you're someone who's carrying a lot of stress these days, whether it's from health issues, family concerns, or just the everyday aches of getting older, silence can be a healing tool. You don't always have to deal with it or push through. Sometimes What your body and mind need most is a few minutes of stillness. A quiet walk, a moment of deep breathing, a sit by the window, with the sunlight warming your skin. These are not small things. These are powerful resets. Your body responds to them. Your heart rate slows. Your blood pressure steadies. Your mind clears just a little. And in those moments, stress doesn't win. You do. So maybe today, instead of turning on the news or scrolling through your phone first thing in the morning, you just sit. Just for a few minutes. Let the world wait. Let the noise wait. You don't owe the world your energy the moment you wake up. You owe yourself peace. And peace begins with silence. There's something else silence gives you. Something that's often overlooked, especially in a world obsessed with being busy and productive. It gives you space to connect, not just with others, but with yourself on a deeper level. Because real connection doesn't always require words. Sometimes it's about being fully present, about sitting beside someone and letting the quiet moments speak louder than anything you could say. You've likely had moments like that. Maybe it was sitting with a spouse or partner, holding hands on a quiet afternoon with no need for conversation. Maybe it was sitting on the porch with a grandchild, watching the sunset, both of you perfectly content just to be. Those are the kinds of memories that last, not because of what was said, but because of the presence shared. In silence, we often find the most genuine form of connection. We stop performing and start feeling. We stop explaining and start understanding. It's easy to forget, especially in our digital age, that not everything has to be posted, commented on, or turned into small talk. Real connection, the kind that nurtures your soul, happens when we slow down and listen, not only to others, but to the stillness inside ourselves. That stillness reminds us of who we are without the noise, without the labels, without the need to prove anything to anyone. And this quiet self-awareness empowers us to show up more authentically, not with masks or rehearsed lines, but with presence, with honesty, with love. And once you begin to live that way, you might notice something else happening. The people around you begin to mirror that energy. Your calm invites calm in others. Your willingness to pause and reflect becomes permission for them to do the same. In a very real sense, your silence becomes a source of strength, not just for you, but for others. You don't need to take charge of every situation to lead. True leadership often comes from knowing when to speak and when to step back, when you're willing to stay quiet and let others shine. You're not giving up power, you're sharing it. And that's what great leaders do. Maybe you've been in situations where you used to feel the need to fix everything, to make the decision, to carry the weight. But now you realize there's wisdom in letting others find their own way. You listen more. You offer guidance only when it's truly needed. You let people figure things out on their own, and in doing so, you actually become more respected, more powerful. Because you're not trying to control, you're empowering. That's the kind of influence that lasts. And it all begins with silence. Of course, embracing silence doesn't mean shutting yourself off from the world. It doesn't mean isolating or becoming invisible. Quite the opposite. It means showing up more meaningfully, more intentionally, and more peacefully. It means knowing when to speak and knowing when to simply hold space. It means trusting that your value isn't based on how much noise you make, but on the wisdom you carry, the presence you offer, and the peace you bring. Now, if all of this sounds beautiful, but maybe a little intimidating, I want to remind you, this isn't something that happens overnight. Silence is a practice, a habit, a choice you make, one small moment at a time. You might start with 5 quiet minutes in the morning, or by resisting the urge to jump in and fill the gaps in a conversation, or by turning off the background noise during meals and simply being with your thoughts. These tiny shifts add up. And with each one, you might start to feel lighter, calmer, more in control of your energy. You may notice you get less drained by conversations that used to exhaust you. You may find yourself feeling more content in your own company. You might even sleep better, worry less, and enjoy deeper, more peaceful relationships. Because silence doesn't just quiet the noise around you, it quiets the noise within you. And when that happens, something beautiful begins to unfold. You begin to hear your true voice again. The one that's been drowned out by years of expectations, responsibilities, and all the shoulds and shouldn'ts of life. That voice is still there, waiting patiently. It's the voice that knows your values. The voice that reminds you of who you are and what really matters in this season of life. It's the voice that doesn't need to shout to be heard. It whispers calmly but clearly when you give it space. And when you begin to live from that place of quiet confidence, life feels different, more aligned, more meaningful. So if you've ever felt like the world is too loud for you these days, if you've ever felt like conversations move too fast, like everyone's talking but no one's listening, know this: you're not out of step. You're ahead of the game. Silence is not something to grow out of. It's something to grow into. And you don't have to do it all at once. Just begin. One moment of stillness at a time. It might be while sipping your morning coffee before the rest of the house wakes up. It might be taking a slow walk without music or podcasts. It might be sitting quietly after a phone call, just letting the words settle. Wherever you find it, hold on to it. Let it become a soft rhythm in your day, because the world will keep talking. The noise will always be there. But you have a choice. You can rise above it. You can live in a way that values depth over distraction, peace over pressure, clarity over chaos. And that choice, it just might change everything. So take a breath. Embrace the pause. Let silence walk beside you. Not as emptiness, but as a trusted companion, a wise teacher, a source of strength. And the next time someone tells you you're too quiet, smile. Because now you know your quiet isn't a flaw. It's a power most people haven't yet discovered. And maybe, just maybe, they'll learn it from you. If this message resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Maybe share a moment where silence helped you, whether it was healing, helpful, or just peaceful. And if you found this video helpful or comforting, go ahead and give it a like. It helps others find this message too. And if you haven't already, we'd be honored if you subscribe to Strong Elderly Life. We put out videos just like this every week, content that supports your growth, your wellness, and your joy in this meaningful stage of life. Thank you for spending time here with me today. You deserve peace. You deserve presence. And you deserve to live with the kind of quiet strength that inspires everyone around you. Here's to living your best life at any age.